Hello there. Today I'm quite excited to be sharing with you a wine from one of Spain's superstar producers. So this is a wine from Bierzo. It's a wine called Petalos from a company called Descendientes de J Palacios. And it's the 2021 vintage of that. Now, Alvaro Palacios is a well-known winemaker who shot to fame in the 1990s as the leading figure in the regeneration of the Priorat wine region. Alvaro's family were eminent Rioja producers, and he had studied abroad. He'd gone to Bordeaux, where he worked as an intern for Christian Moex, who at that time was making the wines of Petrus, was making Trot Noir. And then Alvaro returned to Spain at the age of 25, a young man eager to make his mark, decided not to return to his family company, but instead to go to Priorat to make his name there. By producing a couple of wines that were very well received by eminent American wine critics at the time, L'Ermita and Finca Dofi, Palacios was soon regarded as a winemaker at the forefront of the region. And he set out to find somewhere else to make wine. Evidently, he dabbled a little in the Ribera do Duero, but eventually settled on the obscure region of Bierzo in northeastern Spain, just north of Portugal, a region with steep hillsides, a warm continental climate, the cooling influence of altitude, and fantastic resources of old vines. Evidently, he learned that 80% of the vines in this region were over the age of 60 years old. This was the late 1990s, and the region had only gained recognition as a DO back in 1989. Alvaro teamed up with his nephew, Ricardo Perez Palacios, and the two of them set up Descendientes de J Palacios, a company that was named after Alvaro's father. Ricardo had also travelled widely, had made wine in South America and in the United States. Within quite a short space of time, the company had built up vineyard holdings of 45 hectares. These comprised something like 220 plots, most of them on steep hillsides with varying exposures and varying altitudes. And not long after, an architect-designed state-of-the-art winery was built. As for Petalos, this is the entry-level wine within this winery's portfolio. They have single village wines, they have single vineyard wines. This, however, is produced from a variety of vineyards across a number of different towns and villages in the area around Corulon. So there are vineyards in Corulon, in Villafranca del Bierzo, in Viris, Bonija, Valtul, Derbajo and Otero. These are old goblet-trained bush vines grown without irrigation, with vine age ranging between 50 and 110 years. Soil types vary as well. There's classic Bierzo slate around Corulon. Then in other areas you have an iron-rich clay, there are pebbles and even some sandy soils. So you get a variety of altitudes ranging from 450 metres above sea level up to 1,100 metres above sea level. You get the variety of soil types, you get a variety of exposures. So a lot of complexity in this wine comes from the different natures of the different sites. Everything is farmed biodynamically. Harvesting goes on by hand. These are not sites suited to machine harvest. And although the blend is predominantly Mencia, the local grape variety, actually it's supplemented with 6% of other varieties. 3 of those percentage are red grape varieties such as Alicante Boucher, Gran Negro, Panicane and Negada. And then the remaining 3% comprises the white varieties Valenciana, Jerez and Malvasia. Harvest is done entirely by hand and careful sorting takes place at the winery. The wines ferment in a combination of oak vats and stainless steel tanks. Fermentation is allowed to commence with native yeast. The wines undergo their malolactic conversion in tank before being put into barrel, and they only spend 9 months in barrel. There's no detail given as to what the oak is in terms of its size, where it's from or its age. So I'm assuming this is probably large, probably seasoned oak, so as not to give too much influence. And the wine is only spending 9 months in there. So that's just a period of gentle oxidation just to help fix the tannins and the colour in the wine and to allow it to stabilise and harmonise. After 9 months in barrel, the wine was bottled and filtered. So let's see what we make of it, shall we? Looking at the colour, there is quite a lovely vivid purple hint to it. It's quite a dark purple ruby and relatively deep, but I can actually see the stem of the glass quite easily looking down through the wine. As I swirl it, the wine is only labelled as having 13.5% alcohol. So I can only think that that is the combination of the cooling influence of the altitude and some moderating influence coming from the Atlantic Ocean as well, although the region has a predominantly continental climate. Although the alcohol isn't high, the wine actually seems to be quite viscous. It's quite readily forming tears on the side of the glass there. So let's see what we make of the aromas. There is a lovely, delicate, high-toned, almost floral in parts perfume. I'm thinking peonies and violets and things like that. And of course, the fact that there's been so little oak influence is allowing that to show. It's very attractive, beautifully defined. So let's have a taste. My first impression is the freshness. There's a lovely mouth-watering acidity. Behind that, however, there's quite structured fruit. I've heard people liken Mencia as a grape variety to Merlot, and I don't see that at all. To me, Merlot is fleshy and rounded. Mencia has more of an angularity to it, and that makes sense if you believe, and there are various theories about Mencia's parentage, but possibly it's related to Cabernet Franc, and that actually, like I say, there's a structure, there's an elegance. It's not quite a leafiness, because actually notes that might be heading towards leafiness are actually more lifted floral perfume. There's a lovely sort of rich peony note almost along the side of my mouth in the flavours. I think perhaps that's showing there because the acidity is making my mouth water. There is an angularity to the structure, but there's a lovely sort of chocolatey to velvety smoothness on the mid palate. The wine is at best medium bodied. It's not a big wine. It's got some lovely delicacy, freshness, and these perfumes. And yet at the same time, it's not a light, supple wine. It has this quite angular structure. So I think it's a wine that might benefit from a little more time in bottle, say 2 or 3 years. It's certainly a wine that would benefit from being drunk in partnership with fatty foods. So I've seen Iberico ham suggested as a partner for this on several occasions, and I can completely see that that would work. Looking at the Wine Searcher aggregated critics score for this wine, quite a few critics have looked at it, and their scores aggregate out to 92 out of 100, which, considering this is a relatively well-priced wine, that is actually offering some stunning value for money, I think. So yes, an attractive wine with some aging potential, very much showing the unique character of this region and showing the quality that's capable of being produced from the region's low-yielding old vines. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you found this tasting of interest. If you have enjoyed it, do please press the like button. If you would like to watch more of our tastings, I would heartily suggest that you subscribe to our channel. We would love your support, and also that way you can set yourself an alert so that you're notified every time we publish a new video. If you have any friends you think might like to watch, do please feel free to forward the video to them. We'd really appreciate your endorsement in that way. If you have any comments you would like to leave, do please pop those in the comments box below. Your feedback is of great interest to us. We'd love to know what you think about the wines we're looking at, the tastings we're doing, or anything else relating to that. I will of course leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, and you can go there and you can see primarily if you can buy it near you, what the price is, but also using the tabs on that page you can find out more about the wine. There's information about the winemaking, the region, the Mencia grape variety, the producer. You can see the critics' notes and scores there, any awards the wine has won, and we have a price history for it there. So hopefully that's all the information you could ever want to make an informed decision about buying this wine. So thanks again for joining us, and I do hope you'll manage to make some time and come and join us for another tasting in the very near future. So bye till then.